Hello and welcome to Japan Life Live. Today I want to go over the top 5 worst things about living in Japan and then the top 5 best things about living in Japan. I don't want to end on a negative note. So, number 5 on the worst list, learning Japanese. You don't really have a choice. You're living in a foreign country, you're going to have to learn the new language. It was tough. I knew basic stuff from watching anime my whole life and variety shows and J-pop and all that fun stuff, but it was so hard to learn an actual language like grammar and stuff like that. Oy. But I finally got to a point where I was okay. It took about 5 years and I started watching movies and stuff and I was okay. But up until that point, I couldn't understand anything. And for someone like me who's a big reader and whatnot, it was hard because, there were things that I found interesting that I just couldn't partake in because there was no way for me to truly understand it or to even kind of understand it. The only thing I can say is full immersion, guys. If you're coming to Japan even for a couple years, it's best to watch Japanese TV, just kind of get into it. It may not be the most interesting thing in the world, but, I started with kids shows and I worked my way up until I got to a point where I could actually speak. But, yeah, that was a journey, let me tell you. 難しかった。本当に難しかった。Number 4. I miss some snacks. There's some stuff that I did not care about when I was living in America, but now I super miss it. Those Pepperidge Farm, cheddar cheese, goldfish crackers. Man, I miss that stuff. You can't find that at all here. It just doesn't exist. So when you're walking around trying to look at snacks, there's great stuff here. And to be honest, I enjoy a lot of the Japanese snacks. But, sometimes you just want what you grew up with. And, man, I remember those goldfish crackers. Pepperidge Farm remembers. But I can't find them here. Yeah, you can't even order them online. You can, but I think I found a carton of them, like the small one. Not even like the big Costco one, but the small one was around 4,000 yen, so like $40. Not cool. Not cool, man. But yeah, I miss those snacks. Donuts and stuff like that. Now, I'm not a big snack guy, so I'm okay, but I do miss Dunkin' Donuts. I miss a lot of that kind of stuff. There's donuts in Japan, but they're not very good. They're kind of bread, But with a coffee, I guess they're not bad. At that point, though, I just have the coffee. Number 3. This one's a big one. Work and interviews for work. It's a real pain in the ass. A lot of the times that you are looking for a job, it's tough to find something that is an actual career. Someone like me, I came here kind of just without a plan, and I ended up teaching English. When you do that, you are the lowest on the totem pole, and you're not going to get anything. You're never getting a raise. You're never getting a promotion. There's never going to be a time where you say, well, that was a good decision. So it's best if you try to find something else quick. So whatever skill you have, definitely dive in, learn Japanese, and attempt to make the switch quick. Because if you teach, you're going to get stuck in that for the rest of your life, and it's not good. So don't do that. Never do that. Yeah. Plus, I don't know, that kind of culture is a little bit dying now with translations and all that kind of stuff being so easy. There's not so many eikaiwa or English schools around. So, you end up in like a juku or something, which is a bit better than an eikaiwa, but still getting that job's really hard unless you have a master's of English. If you have a master's in English, you're not going to want to be working at a cram school making, bottom money, So, yeah, don't do that. Don't ever do that. Interviews, yeah, that was part of this. I've had some problem doing interviews. So I took a class in Japan trying to learn how to do interviews correctly. And cough attack. It was difficult because learning like the culture of it is one thing, but then how to sit, how to answer everything. Everything is basically like a set answer. They don't really want to know your actual personality, what you can do, or your background. They just want to know what school you went to and if you can repeat what you learned in the class when you're trying to learn how to do an interview. And on top of that, it was like an inhumane torture. You're sitting there, full suit on, suit jacket and everything. You can't take the jacket off because that wouldn't be good. And I'm sitting there, and it is about 35 degrees Celsius in there. It was seriously like 80 degrees. And the guy sitting in front of me, completely fine. And then he yelled at me for sweating. Yeah, he was like, it's very unprofessional to sweat like you're sweating right now. Well, learn about air conditioning. Come on. It's not that hard. Yeah, but that'll come up later. Number 2 on my list of the worst things about living in Japan is finding ingredients for food. So, being from the West, you kind of like Mexican food and stuff like that. Yeah, good luck finding anything with that. There's no hot sauce here, really. There's no refried beans. There's no tortillas. You got to learn how to make all that stuff. And even when you learn how to make it, finding the spices is nearly impossible. So, thank you, Mom, for sending spices. Need that. Without someone in the States that can send spices, you're pretty much screwed. You can find them, but they're really expensive. It's not an easy task, even to learn how to cook something. I mean, we got YouTube, you can learn how to cook anything. But when you're trying to learn how to cook and you get everything together and then you realize that you're missing a key component, yeah, fun times. But not the worst. The worst is number 1. The worst thing about living in Japan is the heat. Summer lasts from probably mid-April to November 5th. So for most of the year, you're just I'm inside. I try to stay away from the sun. It is burning hot outside. It's super humid. The only good thing about summer is that it ends. It's awful when you're walking around out there. So that's probably the hardest time. And knowing how long it's going to last just kills. So, I end up trying to save up as much of my patience as I can for when I have to go outside and do something. I know some people really love summer. I am not that guy. I don't know. I've never really met anyone that loves summer in Japan, though, because it is harsh. We're talking 110 degrees with full humidity, and it doesn't cool off at night. The sun goes down, and you just bake, and it stays humid. There is that one day, though. It's usually November 5th, and I wake up in the morning, I walk outside, and I'm like, oh, my God, I can breathe. And it's the coolest feeling in the world. So I always look forward to November 5th. But it is weird, you're walking around just dying. I got a neck fan on, I've got another fan going, and I've got ice packs, and I'm trying my best not to die while I'm walking around on Halloween. So, yeah, fun times. Watch out for the heat. So if you're going to visit Japan, late October, early November, through maybe the beginning of April. Past that, you're going to be hanging out in rain and a lot of humidity, and I don't recommend that at all. So, now on to the easier stuff to talk about because I'm pretty passionate about living here. So the 5 best things about living in Japan are, number 5, the food. It may not be healthy, it's a lot of carbs, and I've seen people do some pretty carb-tacular things like mixing ramen and then putting rice in the ramen soup and then eating that on top of the noodles they've already ate. And I don't do that kind of stuff, but I can't fault them because it looks delicious. I just want to, try to keep myself from being 465,222 pounds. So I try to eat a little bit healthy. I limit the carbs, but it is difficult. But I'll tell you, there's a lot of really good food here. If you're coming for a vacation, try everything. This is the time. This is that's cheat week, because you got to try the miso nikomi udon. You got to try all the cool ramens and stuff. And every little area's got something neat. And I kind of have a rule when I'm traveling or when I'm living somewhere new that I don't ask what it is. I just try it. And that has bit me in the ass a couple times. There's one thing that I will warn you about, and it's called shiokara. Shiokara is when they grab the top of a squid and they all the guts out. And it looks like a bowl of snot. And then they eat it. And it's like a beer sake food. And no to that, 100%. But everything else, I've pretty much been able to do. Even natto. Natto's not good. It does taste like salaryman's feet. But, with enough mustard, it's doable. I try to keep to the stuff that I like, though. There's a lot of good food here. And, there's things like all the nabe and all the different styles of food and the sweets and stuff that you can get. I mean, it's amazing. And a lot of the snacks are really good, too. I'm a big fish fan, so there's a lot of dried fish snacks and stuff like that. It's really, really good. I can't recommend it enough. But when you come, I think it's one of those interesting things about Japan. I thought I knew what Japanese food was because I watched a lot of Japanese TV dramas and stuff like that. And when I finally came here, I was shocked at how different the food was from what I expected it to be. It was a completely different beast, and I loved so much of it. I mean, I can say without any sarcasm, 99% of the food here is awesome. But there's a lot of seafood, so if you're anti-seafood, it's going to be a bit rough. But there's still a lot of chicken and pork. It's not like everybody just lives on fish. Although I basically live on fish and pork, so yeah, beef's expensive, you know? Number 4, people. I dig the people here. People are super cool. Most of the people that I've met have become friends, or at least kind of hi bye friends kind of stuff. It's weird. I'm not the most social person, and I never was overseas either. And for some reason, I've just become more friendly. I mean, that could be age. That could just be I feel more comfortable. People here have kind of similar likes. I was never a big music fan overseas, and I love the music in Japan. So I started being able to talk to people about bands and different stuff. And I've always been kind of big in the indie stuff. So all the indie music that I liked ended up being something that other people liked, and it just ended up being fun. I never really had a problem. So it's interesting to get to know people. Also, something that I like about living in Japan when it comes to just like the way people are social, no one is really combative, So if I say I like something and it's not something that they like, they'll still kind of feign interest a little bit. And I do the same thing. I met like one of the coolest looking guys, a beautiful wife, super successful. And then he's really into Kamen Rider, which is mostly aimed at little boys. And I was kind of surprised that someone like that would like it, but then he turned me on to it, and now I'm all into it. I love watching it on Sunday mornings, and it's been a lot of fun. It's something new, and it's easy enough that, it's not. I don't have to turn my brain on full to really concentrate and understand it. I don't know. It's just something fun, and I would never have bothered to watch it if it hadn't been for a friend recommending it to me. And I'm not instantaneously like, that's for kids, that's dumb, stay away from me, which is kind of a more Western attitude towards stuff. Plus, there's not so many categories. If I say I like anime, people are like, yeah, okay, anime's cool. I like Spy Family. And, there's not so much of the like, oh, that's mainstream. I hate that. It's more like, oh, I've seen that too. It's good on TV. Yay. It's just a different feel. I don't know. I really, really, really like it. Also, that leads into a bit of drinking culture. I am not a big drinker. I'm like once every couple weeks. But I really got into the Japanese sake, the Nihonshu. And a lot of my friends are kind of similar. I have like groups of friends that love that kind of stuff, so we drink together and whatnot. And then I have friends that are like my book friends, because I read about 2 novels a week, and they always recommend stuff to me, and I recommend stuff to them. This has been kind of fun to get groups of people together and just enjoy being social, and it just seems easier here. That could be a me thing, but I can't say it. It just seems easier. Water break. Okay. Number 3 on the best things, music. I dig the music in Japan. Now, I'm not a big Idol guy, so I don't really like any of the Idol stuff that much, but there's a lot of really good bands here. And my favorite band of all time right now is Heaven Stamp. It's kind of a girl-led indie-ish band. I love that kind of music. Check it out. Can't play it here because I'll get demonetized, but it is really, really cool stuff. And I don't know, there's a lot of that kind of feel. Just guitar music, light rock kind of stuff, and everything kind of has its own feel, and there is something that is underlying like Japanese feeling about it that I really just associate with and love. So I've really been into that kind of stuff. I guess though that's always been my style. I've always liked kind of indie movies, indie music. I'm not saying that when something gets popular I hate it, because I also love Fast and Furious, and you can't get much more popular and hokey Hollywood than that, but I love it. So it's not that I'm stuck up about stuff, but I do tend to like the indie stuff more, or some of the bands that may be a little bit older, Orange Range, Bump of Chicken, stuff like that. But there is so many good bands here, and a lot have come out recently that I've really enjoyed. So I'm trying to get back into music a little bit more than just the surface level stuff you hear on the radio when you're driving. But yeah, it's fun. Number 2. I like anime. I'm sure that's a shock, as a white dude living in Japan likes anime. I don't think this is a Bigfoot moment where I'm rare. But it is. It's fun. So I started off watching Dragon Ball before there were any localized anime. So I ended up getting really into Dragon Ball, and then I liked Ranma. From there, I got into Tenchi Muyo, and a lot of that kind of stuff I don't know, I love Japanese storytelling, and that translated into what I like now with the dramas and movies and whatnot. I really enjoy Japanese entertainment to an extent, not everything, obviously, but there are things that kind of just speak to me and I feel close to it and I enjoy it. So I like to watch that sort of thing. Anime has changed quite a bit since the time that I was super into it, and I still watch maybe 2 shows a season. And what I watch, I like. I wouldn't watch it if I didn't like it, kind of thing. But it's weird as someone who's always loved anime. It's fun to see it on TV and to see it with no localization, no butchering, no changing. It's just straight the way it was, and I don't know, I really enjoy that. And also, I will say, going and seeing a Dragon Ball movie in the theater with absolutely no changes made was awesome. So I was here for the Kami Kami, and that was, the movie was kind of disappointing, to be honest. But I loved seeing Dragon Ball on the big screen. Then Fukatsu no F came out, and that was perfect. And then Broly came out, and it was the best Dragon Ball movie ever made. The newest one, Superhero, came out. I've been there for every single one. I'm a huge Sailor Moon fan, so I've seen all the Sailor Moon movies in the theater as well. And that was a moment, I just felt like it's almost coming full circle from being a young teenager that really loved this stuff to getting to, as an adult, see it in theaters and kind of understand, wow, this is kind of the last time it'll be remade. A lot of the people are retiring and whatnot. It was just such a moment to go, wow, I'm kind of here for the end of it. I was there for the beginning of it, at least, in where I was from, and then seeing kind of it come full circle. And now the new anime is taking over. People have nostalgia for stuff that isn't nostalgic for me because it came out when I was in college and whatnot. But it is neat to see, the circle begins again in a way. And there's some great stuff that's come out. I really recommend a lot of fun anime. And, recently, I'm a couple seasons behind, but Isekai Oji-san is great. And some of the newer things, I've seen a lot of the stuff that's popular, obviously Spy Family, Kimetsu Yaiba, and I enjoyed a lot of it. It's been fun to see things blow up and get popular and realize it's just fun. Oh, wait. All right, cough break there. The last one, best reason to live in Japan. It is so crazy peaceful here. I have seen some extremely unusual things. By, I guess, my opinion, they're extremely unusual. I was surprised when I first got off the plane. I ended up in Ikebukuro, and I walked out of Ikebukuro, and there's this dude on a bike, and he is mean mugging everybody. And then I happen to see this old lady drop her wallet, and this dude jumps off his bike and runs for the wallet. And I instinctually think this dude is going to steal it, jump on his bike, and go. But instead, he runs up and hands the wallet to this lady, and the lady is super happy, and she gives him an onigiri, and he walks over to his bike. He sits back down on his super awesome bike, and he's attempting to look badass. And he starts eating this onigiri, and I'm like, I don't know, it just blew my mind. Like, that's not something I ever would see overseas. That wallet would have been gone, or the money would have been gone out of it, mostly. There are good people everywhere, but you know what I mean, on a whole. And then I see the guy, and I'm like, yo, nice bike. And he gets off of his bike and stands super straight and does the bow. And I'm like, all right. I don't know, it was just neat. Later that day, I was walking, and I saw an izakaya. I didn't know what it was at the time. I thought it was just a restaurant. But I saw these, like, maybe 5 men in their 80s, and they're all just laughing and drinking together. Again, I never see people that age do anything fun. It was nice to see them out and having a good time, and they're all going to take the train home, so there's no deal, they're not going to drunk drive or anything like that. It was just a neat feeling, and I realized I wanted that. I wanted to have that life where I can grow old and really enjoy just kind of like the chill life without having to worry constantly. I've had a lot of bad things happen when I was overseas, so it's nice to be in a country that's incredibly peaceful, and it's the best thing about living here. So if you love Japanese things and you're going to come and check it out, I definitely say check it out.